As someone who is still trying to become lean, since there hasn't been really been any results from beforehand, I've come to the realization that I'm not, it isn't just me that is struggling to become lean. It's also many other people as well. There's quite a lot of people out there who struggle to get lean, and I figured out the reasons why this has happened, and why many people still struggle to become lean, and it takes them so long to become lean. And yeah, so in this video, I'm going to be explaining to you the 4 reasons why people there's many people out there that struggle to get lean. Now, before we get into the video, if you still haven't subscribed to my channel, then what are you doing? It literally only takes about like 5 seconds. So if you haven't already, click that subscribe button. And as always, let's get into the video. Now, for those people who are still struggling to get lean, these are the people that train hard, they eat in a calorie deficit, and they eat clean, nutritious whole foods majority of the time, but they still struggle to get lean due to these reasons. The first reason being is they do not have a clear structure and a meal plan. To see results, you shouldn't just train hard. You should also train smarter. And to simply do this, you need to be having a clear structure. You see, if you don't plan your meals, if you do not plan how much meals you're going to be having, if you do not plan your meal structure in general, then it's going to be making fat loss way harder. And so to simply fix this, plan how many meals you're going to be having, plan when to have each of these meals. It doesn't have to be at the exact time, but it has to be around like a similar time. So, for example, let's say if I want to be having 3 square meals, and I plan to have my first meal at around 10 to 11, and then my second meal around like 2 to 3 p.m, and my third meal around 6 to 7 p.m, or maybe 6 to 8 p.m, then that's a good plan. That's an example of a good plan to have, and that's an example of how meal times do not need to be exactly the same, but they need to be similar. So for example, I'm not saying, going back to that example, I'm not saying to eat you need to be eating every single day at 10:30 a.m. Now, I'm not saying to eat exactly at 10:30 a.m. Obviously, that's not, we're not trying to be perfect here, yeah? But yeah, it just needs to be similar. And it doesn't matter how many meals you're eating and the timing of your meals, as long as you stay consistent within your meal structure. If it matches your schedule, if it fits your schedule well, then it will make fat loss easier for you. However though, I would highly recommend having 3 to 4 square meals instead of having 1 to 2 big meals. And the reason why I'm saying this is because when you have 3 to 4 big meals, your consistency of energy is gonna stay roughly the same. However, if you have 1 to 2 big meals, then you're not gonna be able to feel energized throughout that entire day. And you're just gonna end up feeling sluggish if you eat one big 200 grams of protein in that one big meal. And muscle protein synthesis occurs better multiple times a day than once or twice a day. So instead of having no structure, eat at scheduled meals instead of skipping meals. This can provide you with consistent energy, and it will help prevent brain fog and prevent hunger. It also helps with your appetite control and your energy. So yeah, find yourself a meal structure, a meal plan, a meal structure that works well within your schedule, and it's something that you're likely to stick to in the long run. Now, the second reason why being lean becomes a struggle for most people, and this is something that I've commonly spoken about a couple of times within my previous videos, is due to poor sleep. Sleep is the secret weapon to lose fat, as poor sleep can lead to hunger hormones being all over the place. It will increase your cravings, it will stall fat loss, making it harder for you to lose fat, and it will reduce your insulin sensitivity. Now, to be getting a better amount of sleep, I would highly recommend you guys follow the 3-2-1 rule, where you stop eating less than 3 hours before you sleep. Because to get good sleep, you need a resting heart rate. Eating is a metabolic adaptation that raises our heart rate, meaning you need to be giving your body enough time for it to digest that food, whatever that food you're eating. Now, the 2 rule is where you avoid drinking water 2 hours before you go to sleep, as it can cause you to wake up in the middle of the night to go for a loo. Now, the 1 rule is where you get over your screens, whether that's screens from your phone, your laptop, from the TV, wherever the screens come from, you should avoid going through your screens at least 1 hour before you go to sleep, as that blue light that you guys look at can disrupt your sleep. And the aim when trying to lose fat is to be getting a good high quality sleep. Not just the quantity, but a good high quality sleep as well. Which is why you should avoid looking at the lights from your phones or any other devices. And that's the 3-2-1 rule that can give you guys a good reminder on getting a good amount of sleep. Good sleep can give you more focus, more energy, more drive, and more happiness. And to simply get good sleep, you should focus on your quality of sleep and your sleep quantity and your sleeping schedule. And studies have been shown that sleeping around a similar time and waking up at around a similar time can help regulate your hunger hormones, which is your ghrelin. I'm pretty sure, yeah, your ghrelin, either your ghrelin or your leptin. But yeah, one of those two, it will help to optimize one of those 2 hormones. So yeah, find a sleeping schedule that you can stick to, waking up and sleeping at that same time. And you should also be focusing on your sleep quantity, getting at least 7 hours of good high quality sleep is more than enough for you to give you good recovery and to give you a good amount of energy. And not to say that 9 hours getting 9 hours of sleep is bad, but 7 hours is the bare minimum. And so you should also be getting a good amount of, you should be having good quality of sleep as well. And to do this, just follow the 3-2-1 rule. Simple as that. Well, not simple. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's simple, because this is something that I've went through, and this is something that I went through like the past couple of weeks ago, and I'm slowly starting to fix that pattern. Now, the further reason why people struggle to become lean is because of chronic stress. As stress leads to water retention, more cravings, and stubborn belly fat being stored, as having high amounts of stress releases cortisol, and cortisol is the hormone that's responsible for storing fat. It basically loves storing fat, and especially around that midsection, which is the stubborn, and with that stubborn belly fat section especially. And so to simply fix your stress, you should simply, there's many ways that you can do it. Go for regular walks, move your body, distract your body, write down what you're stressing about, meditation, all of these things. Not to say that you shouldn't be having zero stress, but you should simply cut it down as much as you can. Now, the fourth and final reason why being lean becomes a struggle for most people is because it's due to metabolic adaptation. You see, losing body fat, yes, you have to be in a calorie deficit to lose body fat, but there's also more to it. You see, as you lose fat, your metabolism starts to slow down. So the cause of having a slower metabolism can make fat loss harder, which is why people, and including myself, because I used to be at around 30% body fat, and I managed to go from 30% body fat to 20% body fat from being in a calorie deficit. But however, going I stayed at 20%. I stayed at 20% body fat, even though I was in a calorie deficit. And one of the reasons why I've stayed at 20% body fat is due to my metabolism starting to adapting to becoming slower, and this could lead to a slow rate of fat loss. And so to simply fix this, you should simply increase your output. So this could be walking 10,000 steps a day, 10,000 steps a day, and increasing your cardio output. So doing your cardio after every gym session. Well, it doesn't have to be every single gym session, but you should do it at least, in my opinion, at least 3 times a week. And you should also be trying to build muscle. You see, also another thing as well, when people try to become lean, one of the mistakes that they do is they focus too much on cardio, but they don't strength train properly. They don't strength train with high intensity. They don't progressively overload. No, I'm not going to say every single week, but because you don't have to really progressively overload every single week. But they don't challenge their muscles every single session. They don't lift heavier weights. They like to stick to the light weights, high reps, instead of heavy weights and low reps. And yeah, I'm not saying that you should be training you should be training at a 5 to 10 rep range. But however, if the weight is too light for you, and you don't really train with higher intensity, then you're simply not challenging your muscles. And if you do not challenge your muscles, then your metabolism is not going to increase, as having more muscle equals more metabolism. It's equivalent to having more metabolism, making fat loss easier. So when trying to become lean, you should focus on building muscle whilst being on a deficit. You should try and build a muscle whilst being you should be trying to build a muscle whilst being in a calorie deficit, alongside with walking 10,000 steps a day and doing cardio after every session for at least 3 times a week, and at around 20 minutes per day, 10 to 20 minutes, and you should be focusing on increasing your cardio slowly after every 2 weeks. So for example, let's say in week 6, you do an hour of cardio in total every week. And then once 2 weeks go by and you're on week 8 of your cut, you should aim to increase it by about 10 minutes. And so this would mean that you're doing 70 minutes of cardio in that week 8, and aim to increase your cardio time. But basically, like progressively overload on your cardio after every 2 weeks, in my opinion. But yeah, so just simply increase your metabolism when trying to become leaner, because yes, you should also be yes, to lose fat you need to be in a calorie deficit. But if your metabolism is slow, then it's going to make fat loss way harder, and it can potentially stall your fat loss. So if you simply increase your metabolism by those 3 things that I mentioned to you already, then it will make fat loss quicker. So yeah, simply increase your metabolism from those 3 things that I mentioned. And as always, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like, comment, share, all of this good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.